Hello everyone, this is Damini and I'm welcoming you guys to episode 1 of RAQS Inspire. That's conversations with all our RAQS inspirations. As most of you know, RAQS means dance, it's as simple as that. Today I'm going to be introducing someone so special to me that I don't even think I have enough words to express how I feel about her. And having her on the show means everything. So I know that you all know who's actually going to be on the show today, and I'm just gonna go ahead and welcome her, and then seeing her face will just make everybody happy, including me, and then we can start it off. This, by the way, is not her. That's her beautiful husband, Ajay, whose Zoom she's using, and let's have you on board.
Hey, now that sexy picture of Ajay has gone.
Will the real Meher Malik please stand up? Please stand up. That's there. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to
first Zoom
RAQS
call.
Inspire. Oh yeah, I mean it's your first Zoom call.
My first Zoom anything.
Wow. So yeah, we're doing this not over Instagram Live because I think this is just so much more convenient for Meher, and then we figured it all out and we did I did a lot of test runs so that she can have space for whenever she needs to be there for Aroha or if any other thing comes up.
And then we also avoid those comments with the badi moti ho gayi, no? We avoid all that.
Yeah, we avoid unnecessary comments and we also avoid unnecessary connectivity issues. So this is super personal and intimate and it's just super nice. Yay!
Yeah.
So thank you for being on this. It is, yeah. I know, I don't think I need to even say what this is going to be like. But
Should I do it? Should I do the interview like this?
Yeah, I think that's nice. I also should have got my
We
mask.
might pass it to each other.
Over Zoom. ये भी हो जाएगा I think आगे बढ़ के कुछ भी हो सकता है. So this is the first time that RAQS Inspire is going online, and it's not like the usual interviews. I'm sure there are enough and more interviews that you and all the other guests who are going to be on the show I have already answered about their experiences and what made them start their dancing and about this and that, and it's the usual thing, and everybody can probably already even knows how much you have achieved in your life in everything that you and they see as achievement. So this is not going to be an interview like that. It's more like conversation, and then I feel suddenly like I'm Karan from Coffee with Karan, but maybe it will be that.
Do we have a rapid fire round?
Oh, I should do that, no?
Next time.
Nice suggestion. Yes, totally.
Remember when you did it with my dad?
Maybe you don't take that suggestion then. But it's a good idea. I think I'll do it next time onwards.
Next time do a rapid fire.
I'll fact it like right now.
Okay.
ये भी मजा आएगा. So I think I'll go ahead with how it is. I just wanted to say that you are one of the pioneers when it comes to belly dancing or women-centric, almost anything in the country and more than the country. And I just feel that to have you sharing different aspects of your journey today will be very enlightening for a lot of people who are going to be hearing this. So I'm looking forward for that, so that people and new dancers can know what it's like to face certain hardships that come more from inside than outside, and we all face them, and even their so-called dance idols have faced them, and there's something to learn from their journeys, and maybe that helps them find their path too. Okay, so let's begin. I just wanted to say firstly that maybe the first question that I would like to ask you is, what inspired you to dance even before, I don't even want to say belly dance, like what inspired you to dance? Was there someone or some music or anything you saw?
Yes. My family says that when I was, I think, 2-3 years old, I used to dance to the song called Tirchi Topi Wale. That's where it actually started. So Tirchi Topi Wale and Sat Samundar, these are some of the few songs that I think, what I used to do was I had a huge fascination for Salman Khan. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So So whatever, like Salman Khan, I think 89 was when Maine Pyar Kiya came out, and I was like one year old then, and my mother watched that movie with me some 8 or 9 times in a row in one day, one night kind of thing. So that's where the fascination with Salman Khan began. So it started by like starting to dress up as a bride for Salman Khan and waiting for him to come marry me. And then which slowly progressed into like wearing those clothes and then dancing. And then these were the songs at that time. And apparently I love to dance ever since I was a little girl. This is what they say. There are some photographs to prove this to be true. But I don't think I ever consciously made a choice to dance. I don't remember, when people like make a decision on, okay, I'm going to join a dance class or I'm going to, I don't think that was ever something that was a, I don't know, like it was never like at some point in my life I danced. I remember dancing forever, whether it was Bharatanatyam or whether I was doing dancing in school or I was doing dancing in plays as a young kid. So I remember dance being a part of my life ever since I can basically understand words and things and life and whatever. So it's pretty much there since then in some form or the other. So yeah.
Oh, wow. So basically, in many ways, Salman Khan has been your first.
Not my dance inspiration. You can't
Yes.
dance for shit, but yeah, I mean Bollywood. I mean, because my mom used to love him, so it started with like, yeah, maine pyar ki haste gaate, and I think that movie starts with some dancing scene. I think in the credits, Salman and Bhagyashree are dancing or something like that. I think
Could be, I don't remember, but
yeah,
possible.
I have some vague memory of this. I think.
But there's a very famous dancing piece in that movie. I think the title song and with the final countdown rip-off. So maybe the music. I mean, the movie in general had a lot of music for a young mind, and that somewhere pushed you to.
It affected me full power, romantically and dancing, both ways.
Wow. So this is such a typical Indian women story where our idea of romance is affected by Bollywood. For you, it's Salman Khan, and for me, it was Shah Rukh Khan. So
oh, it's not Shah Rukh Khan anymore. Is it Mr. Swapnil now?
We've all grown up, right? So Pehla Pyar comes from there, and
no, my Pehla Pyar is Aroha, man. Like everything else before that was bullshit.
Wow.
Don't think any of that other love is true. But yeah, that's how the dance journey began. As far as I remember, I've been dancing ever since I was a little girl.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So I'm going to just move on to the next question. So we all know that your dance journey when it comes to belly dancing has been for what, nearly 2 decades, right?
Yeah, almost.
Yeah, so nearly 2 decades, and you, before even belly dancing, you learned so many other different dance forms. You still do, and you always believe in that. So all of that is just something that everybody is so aware of, knowing about your journey. But what really pushed you, or pushes you actually, let's come to the present, and every single day, this was how it began when it comes to dance. But now, what do you think really pushes you every single day towards this form? Or how do you, or do you identify with this form so much as you are seen to be? And then if so, then what keeps you going?
I feel like belly dancing is kind of that missing link that I feel a lot of other dances are missing. Like in some way, I feel like it's a much deeper connection with the body and the mind than I would see. And I would say every dancer believes themselves to be spiritual beings, to be artists, to be people that are going deeper within, exploring their art. That actually makes them better human beings. I feel like belly dancing does that, of course, like every other art form does, but it also gives you a chance to kind of go very deep into your I would say your primal primitive self also, I think. And I feel like a lot of dancing now in today's world, a lot of it, the way that is evolved is more about like, whether it's technicalities or it is the modern context, or it is like, coming out of like issues that were more, more urban, more new issues that are more today. And then on the other side, you have like these classical dances of the world that are more connected to like God and spirituality and the context that is more ancient. Belly dancing, I feel, is somewhere that link between all that ancient art and between what we're seeing today, in a way which is kind of like modern. It is also getting modernized now, but at the same time, it has something very primitive in the way that it is, in the way that your body can access it. This is what I feel. I feel like it kind of, for me, I'm actually one of those people who looks for like the two sides to a story. In everything that I do, I like to look at like these multiple factors of like, okay, is tarike se bhi ho sakta hai, is tarike se bhi ho sakta hai. So somewhere belly dancing kind of like fulfills that part of me that is both progressive, because it's a dance form that's constantly evolving, but at the same time, a part of me that is very like proud of my body, proud of who I am, proud of the way that I'm created, my inner self, my inner power. So I think like it is able to access both those sides of me, the progressive modern self as well as the ancient old self.
Wow, so it's like you see modern and traditional and basic human, like an ancient human values or something, like something very about the roots of
I mean, it's
our
connected to
being.
life, right? It's belly dancing as a dance form is connected to life. So in that self, it is part of this ever-flowing river of past, present, and future. It just is automatically. Because it is connected to life. It is I mean, I know now even more because I have been working or moving or creating with one part of my body that now I have brought life from. So it's like, and now I'm starting to find new spaces within that physical, spiritual, emotional area as well, you know, because of what it has gone through, because of what it has seen now. So somewhere I feel like belly dancing has somewhere been a witness of time as a dance form, whereas it might have not been a dance form only. That's what I'm saying. Today it is modernized, but you can perceive or look at belly dancing even as not a dance form, actually, as a way of connecting, I would say. All art is in that sense, but I feel like belly dancing, even without choreography, without the music associated to it, without any of that stuff, is a way of connecting with life itself, you know. And in that sense, it is already connected to women because women are life bearers and they bring life. And then in the same way, it is also connected to men because men are also coming through this life through the same, you know, they're coming from the same space, you know. So I feel like it kind of like connects humanity in general. So for me, I find it very difficult, even though I've ventured into a lot of other dancing styles. I'm practicing a lot of movement culture now, and I'm very interested in constantly learning new things. I'm not able to get away from what belly dancing gives me, because I really feel like sometimes when I watch certain dances, I feel like, oh, if they had this aspect of belly dancing in it, they would feel so much more holistically about their own dancing styles when I watch people dance. Whereas on the other hand, I know it can be the opposite for other people. Like when they watch a belly dancer, they might feel like, "Ye to kya kar rahe? Sirf kamar hi hila rahe." I know how people can feel about it, and they might feel like other things are not happening as much. But that, in that sense, belly dancing as a dance form, as a dance style, is incomplete like every other dance style. But as a process or a journey, is extremely wholesome. And that's why I've not been able to commit to any other style as much as I do to this, because I'm in it and I'm in life for the journey, you know. And it's what this dancing style gives me. Other dancing styles give me some aspect of culture, give me some aspect of story, give me some aspect of emotion. I don't think it necessarily gives me this experience of living through my body as a being that creates through this body as much, you know. So yeah, I think that's what it is for me.
And I think now it's like you also said, it's probably making so much more actual sense and connection, because it's no longer one of those things that you say in class or hear in class, or you hear about belly dance that, you know, it started off at this custom with this custom, and you know, it's a myth, or it's a fact that it started off like this, and it does these, you know, these good things for your uterine muscles and all of that. But actually bringing that to the next question is this topic in itself. Now that you have experienced so recently a childbirth, and more than just the birthing day and the process of labor, the whole 9 months and everything and all of that is about those parts of your body, and it's connected to all of that. So do you think differently, or do you have any more light to share on that topic, or do you think there is more truth than we also even know, or maybe something from your own individual experience, because every pregnancy is so unique? But being a belly dancer and always knowing this and always sharing this fact, how do you feel about that aspect now?
See, to be honest, when labor begins and as it progresses and gets towards its more intense stages, a lot of what you think would calm you down kind of goes out the window, to be honest. I studied, I was doing hypnobirthing classes also to make the process more beautiful, more internal for me, more peaceful for me. At the same time, I was practicing belly dancing till almost the end of, like, almost till giving birth, like, till the end. And actually belly dancing made the whole journey of the 9 months very interesting for me, because I realized even then that, oh, my body can still do so much and it's still feeling so comfortable in this dancing style all the way till the end. Whereas a lot of people had these questions, you're still dancing till the end. I'm like, yeah, of course. I mean, I don't understand why somebody should stop doing anything. So that is one aspect of the fact that I love the dance. I kept it till the end, which was amazing. But when labor started, my labor started at around 7-8 in the morning. We were going on a morning walk. And then what happens is when labor begins, your contractions are far apart. So they're about 20, 25, 30 minutes apart. And it didn't hit me yet that labor has begun. It didn't hit me yet, because I was like, okay, I'm just cramping. Okay, it's just like some cramps. So when I started at 8 a.m., the only thing that gave me comfort in those, it was supposed to be a 1-hour walk, which lasted about 2.5 hours, because I had to stop after every 20 minutes. And the only thing that gave me comfort in that walk was to actually do hip rolls. The only thing. So my dad was in the walk with me. My dad, my mom, my grandma, and me, 4 of us were walking together, Ajay as well. And while we were walking, they were all in their rush of walking fast. Now I had to keep holding on to my dad and saying, Dad, stop. And then I'd stop. I'd kind of like squat, like play a little bit. And then I'd start rolling my hips in like these big circles. And then that made it comfortable to continue walking. So the only thing that helped was actually those hip circles.
Wow.
Yeah, it eased the pain. It genuinely eased the pain at that point of time. When I came home, then when the contractions started getting very intense and started getting really short and close to each other, about 5 minutes, 6 minutes from each other, then also being in kind of like a cat and cow position, and still doing like omees and hip rolls was the only thing that made it comfortable. Even in the hospital, they kept telling me to be like in like missionary position, but I was like, no, it's not necessary. I have been told that if you're not comfortable in that position, you don't have to be in that position. Mm-hmm. But they kept forcing me, because I had like a condition with a low-lying placenta. So they were very like, nahi par aap, and my doctor wasn't there because it was the day of Holi. So they kept, she was coming, but then I had to wait a little while for her. And then they kept going, nahi par aap, is position mein mat jao body. But genuinely, my advice to anybody who's in this situation is that your body knows what will feel comfortable. And the only thing that gave me some relief was to be in like a cat and cow position and to do hip rolls. The only thing. So genuinely, and then I would do hip rolls and kind of go like into an 8. Of course, at that point, I'm not thinking about technical belly dancing. Of course. I'm not thinking of like contraction. I'm not thinking of, holding it in. I'm not thinking of like, squeezing your glute muscles or like anything of that sort. But you can move your hips in like kind of like calm infinities and circles to make yourself feel better, for sure. That's for sure.
So moving into the hip rolls or omees or whatever kept feeling natural, and this was intuitive, but did you read about this? Or
I had read, but theory is very different from when it actually happens. Then at that time, nothing comes to you. All these things that we had studied, hypnosis technique, breathing techniques, visualizations. My God, I didn't have the patience at that moment to visualize anything. I was like, okay, I'll just say, okay, now breathe, now try to visualize. I don't visualize anything right now. I can't do this. I can't visualize anything right now. I'm in so much pain that I just can't visualize anything. And it's necessarily not like this for everyone. I mean, they believed at the hospital eventually that I could have been feeling like that because of the low-lying placenta, because even with the lesser dilation, the contractions were too intense. So they believed that the baby's head could be towards the placenta. But I think whatever helped me from morning till night, when finally baby came, which was about 12 hours in total, those 12 hours, whatever I did with moving my body was everything that was happening intuitively, everything. So whatever those things were that were coming out of me, I was like, okay, now I need to be in this position. Now I need to do this. Now I need to stand and do it. Now I need to be in the toilet and sit on the toilet and kind of move my torso a little bit. So whatever I was doing as movement was things that were coming intuitively. And of course, being comfortable in my own skin as a dancer, as a belly dancer, having the prerequisite of the movement, of course, helped.
Certainly, yeah, that played its own part.
Hmm.
That's also such good advice for everybody who will be in a similar place at some point, to remember this, that to go, whether they are belly dancing audience or not, that to do whatever is natural for them at that point. And for each one will be different. For you, it was this because this is who you are, and it's such a natural movement for you, more than a dance step. Like you also said, you weren't thinking of doing it in this way, but it was just like, this is what you, because you know that movement and you've explored it so many times, your mind said that maybe this will help you in the discomfort, or it was just the way you are, because it's such a close part of you. Okay, that's such good advice. It makes me want to talk about Aroha and everything that after that more. But I know that you are already planning a lot of different classes and everything that are almost around the corner now in May, that they are already going to begin. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how it is to do it after having had a baby and with the presence of a baby. So I think those kind of questions is
I'm replying to email. I keep Aroha in my arms and she's like with me, and I'm replying to emails while holding her. That's kind of how the days are at the moment, you know. I mean, I have luckily with the lockdown, there's a lot of help. I'm one of those lucky people that has the help of the people that I need, and at the same time, I have the help of the people that I need. At the same time, I don't have any unnecessary visitors, which is awesome. Which works for me perfectly, because I think my baby needs this time with me or the most. So yeah, but it's I kind of like switching roles between mom, dancer, you know, admin, email, everything. I mean, I'm pretty much one woman army at the moment, you know.
I think you've almost always been that, having known you personally also. Of course, yeah, you have us, and you've had the company and all of that, and then you've had your parents and then friends and all of that. But in many ways, you are so independent, and you know how you can rely on yourself. And I think that is, I see as one of your biggest strengths. And I think that is, and I know that I speak for a lot of people when I say that to rely on yourself as a woman, that by myself can manage so many things, and I don't necessarily need a man or a helper or a sister or a whoever to create my own space or to take it down or to make these calls, is unique about you. What do you think helps? But what do you think helps you in times when it's difficult to just show up to yourself? Let's go back to your dancing journey specifically, and then when you feel that, you know, like, okay, the light inside me is not so strong right now, or whatever your strengths are, whether it's clarity or with passion or music or the inspiration or motivation. I'm sure there have been times when you found that a little dull or down for whatever reason. What do you think helped you in those situations?
You know, I think there are different kinds of people, and I feel like there are some people that are constantly looking for like extrinsic motivation and external encouragement. I have never been that person. I don't think the words of a teacher or a mentor or a fan or a friend or a parent or a boyfriend or a husband, I don't think the words of anybody or the you know, the reinforcement of what my worth is coming from somebody else has ever been very important. You know, so a lot of people will say a lot of things. You're so inspiring, you're so this, you're so that. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm grateful that people think like that. I'm grateful. But at the same time, I see it in another way, because I feel like everybody can be that for themselves. So when I feel like I've had, or like, say, the light was dimming, so to speak. I found that whenever I engrossed myself in a certain kind of learning, I was able to come out of the light and come out of the dark. And I actually think that the only thing that actually, if you think about it, that can bring you out of darkness is to actually learn. Either you're learning from the mistake, or you're learning something new, or you're learning from the behavior pattern that you're showing, or you're learning from what you should not be, or why you should not be feeling a certain way. You have to be introspective. So for me, introspection has always helped to kind of like bring the light back, which then led me always to, okay, I can find these answers somewhere in a book, looking outside, observing somebody else, playing a song, playing the piano, going back to dance rehearsal. I feel like those sparks of light, they come back from the within, because I truly believe that this eternal spark, the all spark, I think exists only inside. I truly believe this. And that's why I have always found it easy to recover from financial loss, or recover from personal loss, or relationship loss, or any kind. I find it easy to bounce back because I feel like the spark and the strength and the energy and the motivation and everything actually is coming from inside out. Whereas if you confuse it and think that it's going to come from outside in, you're never going to find the answer. So even for the longest time, when I kept thinking, okay, I need to find a spiritual master, I'm not finding a master, I have really started to believe that the answers are all coming from within. Everything that I need, all that I need is within me. I am, the universe lives in me, and I live in the universe. And that's it. That's pretty much it. I'll have moments of weakness, or moments of like, feeling upset, tears. But even I had posted something on Instagram today or yesterday, I forgot. Even when I'm not good, I'm good.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's me. Even when I'm going through something, it's fine. Like, I'm like that. Other people will feel like they're crashing, or so even when I'm going through something and I'm upset, I still know I'm good. I don't know, it's in the back of my head. I'll always be like, "Ha, theek hai, kya ho gaya?" Like, for example, I was going to take this time off from work to take care of my child. And then in that situation, I was obviously expecting to be financially taken care of by my own company, my enterprise, the work that I have built. But that didn't happen, because look at Corona, all our work is shut. So now I'm having to bounce back to work much sooner than what I expected. But I feel like that's the general flow of life. You cannot sit and be like, ye maine aisa socha tha, par aisa hua kyun nahi? So I think that when you accept that this is the flow of things, you find the answers. And I've bounced back. And you know what, to be honest, who else can you rely on more than yourself? If you can't trust yourself and rely on yourself, then I think putting your faith in the hands of other people is a very stupid thing to do.
Yeah, that is so true. And you put it in such a natural, cool way that, like, and also sometimes it's difficult for people to understand what is this within, and that I have to trust in myself, and that what does that even mean? Like, where do I even begin? And I guess it's not also easy for everyone, because it comes from so many things, like parenting and just not knowing how to equip themselves enough. And I'm sure we also know that Indian women, they don't find it easy to understand that concept, because it's never passed on to them, or they're never made to be in situations like these. Do you think belly dancing plays a role in empowering women in this way? I mean, of course it does in so many ways, but in a way where they can find this within.
See, I mean, of course, the fact that I think like this, the environmental factors have a role to play, obviously. I mean, being brought up a certain way, not having restrictions, allowing me to live my dream and kind of like follow my heart, all of that obviously are factors defining who I have become as a person today. But I would say that, once that foundation was laid for me to be able to make my own decisions as a human being, I then realized that it was not important to even listen to the viewpoints of people that I consider close or I love. Because sometimes even the minds of people that love you can be murky. It's not just because someone's your father or your mother or your brother or your well-wisher, it's not necessary that what they think you should be doing or making as a decision in your life is necessarily going to be what your reality or your truth is for that moment. So once that foundation was laid, you have to understand that you need to kind of detach from that process. I would say, in that sense, joining a belly dance class or choosing to kind of go on the path of belly dance is kind of detaching from those societal expectations already. So in that sense, it already is kind of cutting out ties in some way. It cuts it off in some way because the general rule for the longest time, it's better now, but for the longest time was like, oh my God, belly dance, open, आप बहुत open हो, or like, हमारे society ऐसा नहीं है, or like, I don't even talk about all those taboos and all that nonsense that goes along with it because that's passe. I mean, like it's people have done enough of that talk, like so narrow-minded, by dance ke liye ye, or whatever, blah blah blah. But the first part of the journey is you getting out to do something where almost everybody in society thinks is not appropriate. So you've already detached from people. Now the second part is finding the community. So you find a community that then thinks like you. Okay, so that reinforces what you think, which means that there's a community now that has also gone and detached themselves from what their society believes. So that has happened. That's the second part of it.
Yeah, that's true.
The third part of it is that now you're in a space where everybody is coming from all shapes and all sizes, and it's okay because there's no pressure to look perfect. There's no pressure to have a certain body size. There's no pressure to, there's just no pressure to be, you're not expected to be a certain kind of woman. You can be a tomboy in belly dance, you can be a plus size woman in belly dance, you can be skinny in belly dance, you can be 60 in belly dance, you can be 12 in belly dance. So I would say then that also reiterates the whole thing. And then when you wear a costume that is revealing in a certain sense, you are empowering your body because you are not then listening to the fact that I need to dress in a certain way, then people will look at me a certain way. You're like, okay, this is my body. I'm going to dress it and be sensual, be strong, showcase my skill in front of the world, in front of my friends. And then that reiterates your confidence even more. So I would say that there is not one point that kind of like, the journey of belly dancing. It's like these 3, 4, 5, 6 pointers which you pass through as a process is what eventually takes you to this point where it empowers you. People, body related concepts, the theory of it, the birthing aspect of it, the woman aspect of it, sisterhood, community, independence. So all of that is part of the whole. It takes time, and nobody emancipates as belly dancer in the first day. It takes time.
Yeah, but for sure, like the first few classes or experiences of belly dance, even I recall, were so empowering because of these reasons. And I was able to go back to all of these points because you're able to live out something which feels like a little bit of a rebellion. And even when I started, it was not still so common. I remember I had to let my mom not tell my dad, and I was still in college, so send me some extra money.
Stories.
Yeah, send me some extra money. And then I told her I'm just going to try it for 3 months. And then right after 3 months, we had the Bollywood show, and then things just changed, and he was giving a standing ovation, standing and clapping like that. So things change. But all of these points, I remember my journey, and I'm sure that everybody who's listening can actually visualize the whole thing backwards and see that you find a community, you find other women who are thinking like you, and other families also behind these women who are probably thinking the same like your family, or
and somewhere the parents also end up affecting the parents.
Yes, this is true. Yeah, so this is like a bigger community of, it's not just a community of belly dancers, but the community that supports this community that starts making the difference. And I guess in its own way, these large scale things like TVs and TV shows
has helped.
Big things, that also has played its role among its other contributions too. So what is the most empowering story that you have heard in all these women and men that you have taught, like somebody's journey that really was like, wow? Do you remember anything?
I mean, there's so many. There's so many. There's so many. Even amongst our own community, we know how people have kind of like, push through, and even besides their family issues. I don't want to point towards any one particular story, but I think there's enough and more examples of people who've like quit careers to take this dance seriously. These new budding dancers who are taking it so seriously and training and promoting themselves. And I think there's enough and more people you know, who are kind of breaking the chains to further their, you know, further their journey into the dance. So I don't think there's any specific story like that.
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of people have a lot of things. How can you judge and say someone's story is better?
Hmm.
People are coming from so many backgrounds. Right? I don't know what exactly everybody's house background is, home background, what social context, what financial
Yeah.
background. There are people even besides like financial odds make it to classes. There are students inspiring who come from other cities to do class. Every Saturday, Sunday will come from Jaipur. Some people will come from, I don't know, even further places, take flights and come. Air hostesses will take private classes. So I would say that there's enough and more examples of people who are doing what they're doing to just hustle and kind of like make sure they have space for this dance form in their life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Like, it's really been changing so much, and there are so many stories because it's changing a lot and it's changing so fast now that, there's so many people who are doing so much for it. I wanted to bring some attention on men who have now started belly dancing, and that is still relatively more new, here, at least in our country. And there has been a lot of, well, of course, belly dance community in general, artists can face stereotype, and then you narrow it down to women doing anything with their bodies is there. But there's also some kind of like reverse stereotype happening on men who choose to belly dance, with whether it comes to, again, it's the same line of thoughts, like whether it's about their bodies being exposed in a certain way, or why they have to dress up like women when they are doing this dance form. Should they not just be men and still perform this art, or this art form is still only women dominated? It that way it probably is. But also, when we see women who are struggling to make it, and then we see these younger men who are struggling to make it, and I'm probably now just talking about new people, new learners in this field, there is a little difference in the mindset and where they are coming from. There's also the whole sub hush hush topics and concepts of or context of their sexual orientation, which doesn't end up happening when women try to take up belly dancing. Now, when it comes to all of this, there is actually probably not even a question that I can really frame and ask here, but it is a topic that is probably not discussed in enough light or in good light. And I feel like this is something that we can talk about, because there are a lot of new men trying to try this dance form, and they are facing a lot more stereotype today than women are facing right now. So maybe in some way we can have some light being put on it. Maybe we can discuss it, or there's something in your mind that you would like to say to them or to all of us about them.
See, I think firstly, belly dancing somewhere is associated with, if we define these genders of the space of masculinity and femininity, I feel like maybe it borders towards more on the side of femininity. Of course, automatically, which takes it to its original roots, which is birth ritual, which is a woman thing. Let's not, you can't change that. Okay. That's why certain communities of dance even don't allow men to actually, dance in their communities. Which is not the way I look at it. I feel like we are all connected to, like I said in the beginning, that we're already connected to this female form, because even if we're not birthing, we are coming via birth, which means that we are linked to this female body, right? So I feel like firstly, it's totally cool for an artist to take up any style of art, because as a male or a female, as an artist, you should have the balance of both these energies within yourself anyway. In your being, you need to be able to have masculinity as well as femininity. But because it's, generally speaking or conventionally speaking, associated with femininity, automatically the men that practice it are going to face a little bit of opposition from community in a certain sense, related to their sexuality. Now, which brings us to the topic of sexuality.
in a case where men do choose to belly dance, I am quite aware of a lot of practicing male dancers who also are, say, not straight, for example, and I think that is a choice, that is a personal choice, whether you're a straight dancer or you're not a straight dancer is inconsequential to you actually being a good dancer. It doesn't matter. But I feel, and if you wish to, as a man, dress like a woman and dance, that also is something that, depends. It's a very personal choice. I mean, the LGBTQ community decides to dress, wear, behave the way they want to. That's not for me to tell them how they should be dancing or expressing themselves. What I do feel though, this is a very strong opinion that I have, is, Hindi mein ek kahavat hai, andho mein kana raja. Okay. Now what happens is, because the male community is that small, because it's at the moment a very tiny community, even the people that are at the forefront, I believe, of that community are not necessarily people that come from very strong dancing backgrounds. This is what I personally believe. I don't know of any male dancers that have actually committed themselves seriously to this dance form for years. Whereas I can say that for women, I can say that relatively for more women in the community than I can say for men. So I feel like nobody is going to be pointing fingers or making life difficult for male dancers if they practice and reach that level of professionalism that I believe a lot of the female dancers are now showcasing. So for me, it's about that. It's about the fact that I think that, because, what happens is the male community is small. So it's very easy, male belly dance community. So it's very easy to hero worship somebody who's probably the best out of that lot, even though that person might, relatively speaking, internationally speaking, or even like nationally speaking, might not stand anywhere technically. So I feel like somehow that has been taken a little loosely by the male community. Even the male dancers that I have taught in the past, I feel like there are only one or two that are really, really genuinely committed to the dance as movement artists, as dancers, as thinkers, not just as fashionistas, or not just as somebody who takes it as a trend or something that is, aaj hai, kal nahi hai. So I feel like men need to kind of showcase that discipline and that, and that seriousness to the dance, minus the sexuality aspect of it. So if we, barring that idea of, see, because with women, you don't have to think of it like that, because it's already coming with that femininity alongside. For men, I feel like, barring that sexual aspect, barring all of that, to it, Nihal's standing and doing some very funny things. So barring all of that, I feel like you should still prove yourself to be a serious artist, I think. And then there is no boundary between a man or a woman. Whereas, for example, when I see the whacking community, I feel like certain men, I mean, you can still have the same ideas of sexuality coming in and things like that they face and all of that. But I see some of the dancers really, really technically getting out there, Whereas in belly dancing community, I feel like that's kind of it's lacking a little bit. When men start taking that seriously and really train in it technically, and take it really seriously and kind of reach that level of expertise, I feel like they will, in a certain sense, equal, even maybe as a tiny community, they might have a larger impact than the female community. Who knows?
I was actually going to bring
that's what I think.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring the whacking example, because that's another dance form which is kind of like, it began with, men who had homosexual orientation and in the LGBT community, whacking, voguing, but we don't see the same kind of attitude towards them, or actually
What's that show? What's that show on Netflix? I forgot the name.
Which one?
Have you seen that show on Netflix? The whole thing about the origin of whacking and all of that.
Oh no.
Oh shit. Glow? Fuck, I forget the name of the show. Such a good show, man. Such a good show.
Wow, I think when I upload this, people will write it, so then we'll remember.
Yeah. They'll know. I forget the name of the show, but it's an excellent show. Like really, really, it takes you deep into the process of how ballroom and all of that began, whacking, voguing, all of that began. It's amazing. It like really pulls you in. And then it also covers the whole socio aspect of the AIDS and, the homosexual community, LGBTQ. It's very, very interesting. Very interesting.
Wow.
Show, damn it.
Koi dikhega.
Yeah,
So
right.
I was saying that, yeah, so then in those communities, we do not treat the men and women as differently as I guess we are still seeing, or maybe we're starting to see lesser of that now, even in the belly dance community, at least in the serious dancers and serious learners, at least, that we're not treating the men and women any differently. But I do feel that, like, you actually brought that upon on your own also, while explaining that somehow the men seem to be feeling like they have to be seen a certain way to be in the belly dance community. So they have to dress up in a certain way, or
versus developing an individual style.
Yes, or focusing back into this point which is within, or actually focusing on.
It feels with men. It feels more external than it seems internal. Yeah. I think so too.
So the men, I think, in a different community like Whack and Woke, they feel empowered, and it's empowering to see them. Whereas here that's happening, but I guess when it began, the whole point of fame started becoming other things. So I guess it's important for the men who are also pursuing to start putting their focus back on the right things, which is
I feel like if they do think of it and go into it like that, I think for us it comes a little more easily because of its original roots and the way that it connects with our bodies. Whereas for men, they have to, I think it's superimpose that aspect of it on the dance, so they have to kind of like think kind of like in a woman way, but in a way that's not necessary. On the other hand, they can tap into their real feminine selves, or real movement selves, or real spiritual selves and forces of creation, and be able to represent it in a more individualistic fashion.
Yes, that is true. That's correct.
Yes,
that was a really interesting topic.
I mean, I hope they don't hold it against us for putting these points out. I mean, no offense to any men out there, but this is just, I've been teaching for years, and I can see, of course, the sample group is also small. Okay, let's understand that in a class of like 20 people, there'll be one dude, so the sample group is really small, so it's not easy to tell. And I'm sure someone might be like, but I'm not like that. I'm talking generically speaking, because the female spectrum is so big, but even in that spectrum, you can have all kinds of people. You can have all kinds of delusionary behaviors, even in the female spectrum. Absolutely. It's just that in the sample group of men, because it's smaller, that's what I have seen to run into more than I have run into with women.
Yes, and I think it also comes from
and it's for the men to sit and decide and understand and speculate on why this is probably a reality.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I know that discussing with somebody who has had so much experience in this field and has seen her fair share of men learning and wanting to do things with belly dance, I think it's important for me to also bring it out as a topic, because I know this is one of the concerns of men who are learning even with me or alongside, that this is just your video is frozen actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we can just close this topic here, but it was important to bring light to it, because even though it's there, but there's like this foggy gray situation about this, and I think the more we talk about it more openly, I think it'll also have something for the ones who really want to think about it, take it forward from here, and we're always open to their discussions and their points of view. They can always write about it here. Okay, so I think we can just end this section of the interview with maybe one last question, which we have pretty much touched upon on all the questions actually. Even me as a dancer and explorer of this form, I believe that belly dancing is so closely situated to something higher. It just always has this feeling before you even are spiritually drawn, and you might be very young when you start or a little older, that doesn't matter, but it does have something which brings your attention back to yourself and makes you want to be a better version of you. And of course, this can mean different things for different people, but this is how I feel it. So coming from this and a lot of things that you have shared, it really always seems to be very closely connected to embarking on, maybe it's safe to say, like almost like a spiritual journey of yourself. And and that being different for everyone, do you think it is important for anybody who wishes to explore this or is already exploring this style to keep a mind which is open to experiencing these things, which is open to, in a way that it is important to reflect on your inner self while you are reflecting on your dance journey, and that they kind of go hand in hand? It's got a lot to do with what we've been talking about as external and within and internal. But if I had to directly talk about spirituality and belly dancing, personally for you, and then as a general topic or as an advice also to young learners, do you think it's important for them to reflect on who they are as people and what they can do to make that better? And do you think that has any value in becoming a better dancer, or it actually doesn't matter? You can be the most technical dancer and be brilliant and still be unaware about, or unwilling, actually not aware, unwilling to work on yourself as a human.
It's so funny, while you asked me this question, I went so deep in my thoughts. I think the answer is, while you were talking, it's funny when people ask me questions and you're like shooting words at me. I have images that float inside my mind. It's like it's really interesting, and those images are what kind of give me the answers in words when I give them to you, when I say them to you. I feel like so the key word to all of this right now for me would be sensuality. And I think sensuality is kind of like spirituality wearing red lipstick, and if you think about it, the reason the world thinks it's necessary to curb it is because it is powerful. Okay. They feel like it's necessary to tell you not to wear certain kind of clothes. It's necessary to tell you not to move a certain way, yet it entices you, yet it reaches a part of you that is so deep that either wants to be it or wants a part of it. So I think that even as a spiritual being, truly, in some way, everybody talks about like in God or having good morals. But when someone truly wants to embark on a spiritual journey, for example, simplest example is Bhagwan Buddha. You wanted to go on a journey, but the minute you wanted to actually access the spiritual journey, it was so socially not acceptable. Okay, it's difficult for people to accept that. For anybody in a family to accept that their daughter or son might want to give away all these material pleasures to actually access something higher is very difficult for people to accept. Even though every household will have a temple and whatnot. It's the same with sensuality. It is a very, very latent part of our lives, but if someone actually treads that path of accessing their inner sensuality, it becomes a problem. But for me, I feel like spirituality and sensuality are the two sides of what belly dancing is. Now, if your eyes choose to see the spiritual aspect of it, they will. If your eyes choose to see the sensual aspect of it, they will. But they are nothing but the same thing, because both of them demand or require breaking of societal norms to be accessed. So whether you want to project yourself as a sensual being, that also is going to meet with eyes of a certain kind. And if you want to be a spiritual being also, that also is going to meet you with eyes of a separate kind.
Yeah.
What people want is for you to stay within this normal material existence, which they themselves are part of, because neither could they ever access their true sensuality, neither could they access their true spirituality. They are stuck in the middle. So I would say, if you choose to practice an art form like belly dance, being stuck in the middle, it's okay. It's okay. Am I back? So it's I don't hear you though.
For a moment we had Ajay's photo, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
now you're back.
I'm short on battery, so I'll have to charge some.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So it kind of like, it's okay to be in the middle, but if you really want to access this style of dance as in its whole completion, you'll have to border onto either of these sides. Automatically being on either of these sides will make you embrace the other side automatically. You'll give me a moment to get my charger.
Yeah, I think I agree, and it's very nice. I think I'm going to caption this
Sensuality,
with that.
spirituality, wearing
Yeah.
red lipstick.
Or that they're the side of the same, two sides of the same coin, because it's so intelligently stated. Like I actually visualize, and it's so true.
Yeah.
So do you want to say, like, you want to give any some kind of like tips to people who are hearing this, young minds, like in terms of what they should seek if they are feeling blocked with their creativity or their process? Like I have a little more specific question.
I mean, if all of that I have said has not helped them, I don't know, God help them. I feel like people need to trust themselves more, man. There's too much doubt. I face this with even my dancers. I face this with even people I am teaching, who people I'm living with. I just feel like people don't trust themselves enough. Somewhere, it's also because they find it very difficult to be aligned thought and action within themselves. कहना कुछ और है, पर करना कुछ और है, पर फिर जाना कहीं और है. मेरे लिए ये कभी प्रॉब्लम नहीं थी. जो मैं सोचती हूँ मैं वही कहती हूँ, जो मैं कहती हूँ मैं वही करती हूँ. It's pretty basic. I think it's so easy like that, man. It's so easy. Why do people put themselves in this situation of self-jeopardizing like behavior? I think this, but I'm not going to say it. I feel this, but I'm going to do something else. Are, what are you doing, man? So I just feel like even at times in life, when at that point of time I knew I was probably not making the best decision for myself, I felt like I want to do it. I did it. I went, okay. Better sense will prevail later, not right now. No problem. So I feel like somewhere you need to trust yourself. Yes, but also you need to not trust yourself with a false ego. Not trust yourself with a false ego in the sense that I trust myself और मैं जो सोचती हूँ वो ही सही है. You have to trust yourself enough to be able to introspect on whether you are right or wrong all the time. This is also, I will always come down to these two aspects, because I feel like none of my conversations or anything I believe in is complete without the two sides. Ever. I find myself coming out to this duet all the time. I don't know why, because I think it's just how I live. Like it's, you have to be like, okay, I trust myself. Okay, I trust myself, but am I in the right place? Am I making the right decision? So you have to be able to trust yourself, but you have to be able to find the answers within yourself, but I also be able to question yourself. कि क्या मैं सही हूँ? क्या मैं जो कह रही हूँ सही है? Advice I'd like to give, because otherwise I feel like advice kind of like goes to waste. To be honest, it's not. I never also want to give Aroha advice. I think it's so stupid. And like, I'll be sharing something on Instagram about my pregnancy, and I'm just sharing a T-shirt with, like showing my leaking breasts or like whatever. Like, when I had shared this post with like, just having this. People are telling me what to do. Use nursing pads. You don't think I know? You really think I need your advice? I have done till now, in the last 47 days of my baby coming into this world, a doctorate on this by now. Because every time someone tells me something, I'm ready to prove it wrong. For example, like, her hands and feet are cold. By the way, does not mean a child feels cold. Hand and feet cold is just implying that the child till 3 months has weaker circulation. And it takes more time for the blood to rush to the hands and the feet. And so till 3 months, the child's hands and feet will be cold. So especially people from the previous generation will try to tell you all kinds of shit. तुम्हें अपना ध्यान रखना है, क्योंकि अगर तुम बीमार होगे, बच्चा बीमार हो सकता है. Bull.
Because if you are sick, your milk will actually produce the exact antibodies your child needs to not get that sickness. Yeah, so a lot of what people tell you is crap.
Wow.
We live in the age of Google, and a lot of what Google also tells you is crap. But statistical understanding of kind of going through a lot of things, reading a lot. Where do you get your knowledge from? Reading, right? People keep telling you to read. A lot of people are talking out of their asses, especially the previous generation. So I feel like advice is something that I have learned to completely disrespect in this whole time as a mother. I don't need it. I don't want it. If I want it, I will ask you. So I don't want to give people advice.
That's so you.
I want them to look inside and advise themselves. That's what I do. What's telling me to make these decisions for my child? Me. I'm advising myself. That's it. You can advise yourself. You can be your own advisor, I think. But like I said, without a false ego.
That's the catch. And that's the
constantly speculating, introspective ego. Constantly.
Yeah. It's quite a journey. Okay, cool. So now we'll move forward to, before actually we move forward to the last segment, which is some audience pick questions. And because for you, we had so many questions, I've narrowed it down to 4 topics, and I'll just ask you to choose one of those topics that you'd like me to ask you, and then we'll go with that. So before we go to that, I just wanted to ask you, what lies ahead for you? What are you looking forward to? And where do you see your journey going? Or are you taking a break from that? And not just because of the fact that you were supposed to take a break right now, but what excites you now? Or what is happening inside, and what is moving you? Whether it's about your dance journey or not, that doesn't matter. Like, what is exciting you right now?
I think what's exciting me right now to see what the world's going to be like once this whole corona thing ends. Okay, firstly. Secondly, I think that'll excite everybody, and not in the means that I want to rush out and go out. No, not like that. But I know already, being a conscientious person, that's already making me respect things more. Okay, so I'm really hoping, and I'm excited for people to kind of be able to access their better selves. I'm really hoping, and I'm hopeful. More than excited, I'm hopeful for that. I'm really excited for Aroha's first word. Oh my God, when she starts crawling, when she starts walking, she says, I don't know, she's already starting to talk. She says a lot of things, and she wants you and stuff. She's already saying stuff. But like, just to hear her speak, because I'm watching I watched this show called Babies on Netflix, and it's incredible. There is one episode that teaches you language. So how you actually learn language, oh my God, it's so interesting. That, for example, when parents see like a dog and they go like, doggy, okay, for example. When the doggy is in the situation, there's a park, there's a ball, there's a shoe, there's a stick, whatever, XYZ. And then there's another situation where there's another doggy. And then this time there's the beach and a person and a whatever. And then again, you go doggy. And in the third situation, there's something else and there's the dog. Children learn by elimination. So like what they think about is like, oh, each of these situations had a dog, but then those other things weren't there. Then you realize that, oh, this is doggy. It's quite incredible. And like to think how a being learns a language. And then I was learning about bilingual kids. Oh my God. In this episode, the father is French, the mother is English. The father speaks to the child in French. The mother speaks to the child in English, but the child can speak both languages. The mother and father don't speak in French or English.
Wow.
Yeah, like, so they don't have that language in common, the parents. So of course they do, but to the child they do. I'm sure they can speak English generically speaking, but then the child can translate for the mother and tell the mother what the father said in French.
How cool.
So children learn things so intelligently that now what I'm looking forward to is learning life through the eyes of a child. I feel like that'll bring me closer to life.
Mm.
Parenting also, I feel like that also requires a really like awareness and consciousness, because otherwise you can just let parenting pass you by. A lot of people have parented kids and they really don't know anything, to be honest. I must say. Then they're like, humne bhi to pale the. I'm like, yeah, you pale the with like zero consciousness. Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, also because I think ever since you were becoming a mother, I also started thinking, because the way you entered it, you wanted to become a parent. A lot of people have a child because they had to, or they're being told to, or it's their time, or what's next in life, But very few people, I'm sure there are people like that, but very few people want to do it as something that they choose to do. I want to study this because I love it, or I want to do this because I want to be a parent. So I think that makes a lot of difference too, like what is the whole motivation? Like I sometimes think so many children are born of sex and so many children are born out of love for making a child. So yeah, that's it is. So yeah.
My name is Aroha, so
Yeah.
she's purely out of love and intention, completely.
Yeah, intention. Yeah, I think that's one of the
So
parts.
so that's what I'm looking
destination.
forward to. I'm really looking forward to that. Like just watching life again, but getting to fix things that probably the generations before me couldn't fix. Like somewhere what they missed out on raising us, whether it was in terms of protection or in terms of opportunities or in terms of whatever things, I mean, I might not be able to save her from whatever her destiny has in place for her, but to kind of like help that mind of hers expand even further. That's how we're going to create more aware children. That's how the world will become a better place, because really the world is trashy because of the previous generation.
Yeah.
The industries, the boom of industries, the need for materialist, parents access, because they didn't have when they were young. So when they grow up, they wanted a house and a car and a house with, and we're going back to basics. We're going back to basics. We're going to minimalism. I'm like selling off. Before I moved to this new house and Aroha came, I sold off tons of costumes and jewelries, and like I was like, I don't want this shit anymore. I don't want to raise a child with all this materialistic shit in my life.
Yeah.
So we're kind of going backwards, and then now I'm going to give my child an opportunity to truly consider her intelligence and her awareness to be the true treasure and the real measure of wealth in her life. And
But
if in the end she wants to go and grow vegetables on a farmland, if that what makes her happy, so be it. Today if we were all farming, we would be in a much better situation.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And none of this comes at a cost of your you being a dancer or a belly dancer, right? Like, I mean, I know I already know the answer, but
somehow people think I was asked this question recently, whether this process is slowing down. So somehow there is this, for some reason, in the minds of generic audience people, there is a thought process that becoming a mother means the slowing down of the other aspects of your life,
like your ambition and stuff.
Yeah. So let's understand one thing: dance is not my ambition, dance is my existence. You can't slow down your existence. This is what I even said before she came. This is also what I'm saying after she has come. And it is so important for her to witness that her mother has a love for something that is not constantly running around her. Because then she needs to develop that love, not for other people running around a man or running around another human being. She needs to understand that she needs to find that love for something in life. So this is in no means a slowing down. It is a rediscovery. So now I'm going to have to access dance. Of course, there's the belly dance, but I'm going to have to access my life differently. When can I go back to festivals again? When can I go back to training again? How can I make time for my classes, especially in the wake of Corona? Then I'm just like, how do I get out? Okay, should I get out? When can I get out into the world and start training again? So yeah, for me, things are going to be slow now because of the current ethos, not because of what I want. So yeah, and then for the safety of myself and my child, I'm going to take my time. I'm starting to do my online classes. I have 340 students who applied to study. Friggin' retards.
How did you even check so many applications and forms? My
That's what
God.
I'm saying. I replied to 240 beginner applications. Yeah. So, so like, you know, and in the meanwhile, taking care of her, breastfeeding her, everything, taking care of her needs, diaper changes, the works, everything. You know, she'll sleep. She'll like sleep at my breast. I'll be like, okay, now burp you. Let's sleep you. 20 minutes to go. 20 minutes. Then she wakes up. Life is kind of like that right now. On the other hand, I feel like it's actually pumped ambition, so to speak.
Wow.
Because now you make the most of the little time that you have. So pehle you're probably like, yeah, I'll do it. I can do it. I know I can do it. Now you're like, I have to do it. This is something I have to prove to myself.
Before she wakes up and before she needs me.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like she sets the goals and pushes you.
Yes. So it's not a slowing down. It's not a ending of ambition. I feel like a year from now, I will be probably a stronger dancer than I ever was. This is what I feel.
Wow.
This is what I truly feel. Like I feel like I will access even more inside me as a dancer.
That's going to be so exciting for all of us to witness.
This is what I feel. You know, I really, really feel it when I'll get in some time be able to. I mean, I'm already working on things as an individual right now. But like when I'll be able to, like, I think access new information as a dancer, I feel like I'll be able to understand it also from a different light now.
Yes, I hope you are wearing your superwoman socks every day.
All the time. It's a little hot now, but whenever I get them.
Yeah, of course.
I swear, when I wore them that day, I was like, I deserve it. I can do anything.
So cool. Okay, let's just go to your audience pick questions. So because there were, I don't even know how many questions, most of them revolved around things that I know you have answered in different interviews, either on, I don't know, phone interviews or on the newspaper, media, whatever it is. But maybe whatever interests you out of these, the topics mostly involve what to do to understand fusion, what are the things to keep in mind to be able to respect the different styles. That was one topic. Then there was another one which revolved around taboos, which I know is a lot. Fortunately, it's a lot of it is in the past now for most of us because it's kind of like a very resolved situation. Yeah, so a lot of questions revolve around what to do personally when they are facing taboos. And I also think that it's a journey that they all have to take on their own.
This is also advice giving. And I mean, it's so, everybody's social context, financial context, you know, is so different.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Then there was a lot of questions about empowerment and women empowerment and just human empowerment. And then there were some questions about what you think about commercialization of belly dance and the role of TV shows. So these were the main topics. I know there's probably nothing that you haven't already spoken about and we haven't touched upon.
Yeah. What would you like to speak about?
I found one question about empowerment interesting because it was asked in a very different way. The question actually was, how empowered do you feel by empowering other people with what you do? It was a different take.
I think empowering, how do I say it? Okay, I'm going to find the right words for this. So, in the process of empowering someone, this relationship is two-way. Always. Because like, it's simply if I have to make the comparison with even what I'm doing with my daughter, people say that a mother's love is unconditional. And I wrote about this recently. There is nothing unconditional about it, I believe. In trusting me, for example, you, Damini, trust me as a mentor. You choose to have me as your teacher. You are empowering me. It means, what does the word empower mean? To put power in the hands of somebody else, right? Yeah. Rather to put them on a pedestal in a sense that elevates them, that they feel this power flowing through them. Correct? It's an elevation of a certain sense. So if you put me as a teacher, if someone else already asked this question, has already empowered me, even in asking the question. It is also what my daughter does to me. She trusts me, you know. She waits patiently till I am able to finish something, come to her with my breast till I see she's getting a little cranky and I know she wants it. She waits. In that patience, even she empowers me, because she tells me, I'll wait for you, mom. You finish your thing. I'm here. I'm hungry, but I'll wait. Patience from another human being can empower you. Trust from another person can empower you. Love from somebody can empower you. Hope, giving hope or receiving hope from someone can empower you. Tough times can empower you. So I would say it's a very two-way thing. In the process of asking me that question, this person has already empowered me. And somewhere in asking a question that empowered me, I feel like that person is in a place of being empowered themselves as well. That they had the ability to do that to me just through the question. You know? Yeah. So I don't look at empowering as, you know, road pe gareeb hai, usko kuch de do, and you empower them. It's like my philosophy is more like, you know, don't give him a fish, teach him how to fish. You know?
Yes, that's true.
So I believe in being a light in people's life by being myself. By expressing myself in honesty, by sharing myself without hesitation, by letting them know I'm as normal as them. So in the process of letting them know I'm as normal as them and they are as normal as me, it is empowering already. If we all come into our acceptance of the fact that we are normal, everybody's empowered.
That was the reason I star marked this question.
It's a good question. Good questions call for good answers. Reality show.
Yeah, I know. I think there's a lot of information that they can actually refer to.
They need to progress beyond these questions of taboo. Beyond, you know, this is the thing. You will progress if you ask the right questions.
I agree with this.
If your questions are taboos, how will you progress beyond the taboos? If your questions kind of like are surrounding the reality shows, how are you going to progress beyond a reality show?
Yes. Yes. And your answer taught me also a lot about things that I needed to hear, and in general, not just this question. So I'm very happy that I chose this question, and somehow you asked me to choose it. It just worked out so well. And
I empowered you.
Yes, you did. Yes, absolutely. You empower me. Yeah. Now I feel like a little girl confessing her love or something. But I love you, and you empower me, teacher. Like that.
You go back to the beginning.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Thank you for being on RAQS Inspire, for starting it off. You have been my inspiration since I have passed in some moment of serendipity where my mother is watching television and I am like, why does she watch television? And I'm going from my study room to the kitchen to just get water, and I see, oh, there is an actual person who does belly dancing in India. Okay, one day maybe I will get the chance. And this is when I used to live in Jamshedpur with my parents. I hadn't even shifted to Delhi.
Damn!
I stayed for that part of the television section, and then I went back thinking, oh, I can study this at some point. It is possible. I don't have to go somewhere out. And in Jamshedpur, I don't even think I expressed out loud to anyone that I would like to pursue belly dance at some point. Pursue in the sense that at least learn it or experience it. But then one thing led to
one question before you leave.
Oh, wow.
When you saw it, did it hit you sensually or did it hit you spiritually?
It hit me like the first thing, not even sensually, didn't even happen that much. Spiritually, I guess the answer lies more to this side, because it was the fact that there was a human, forget woman, man, who was just doing what they believed in so much. And that was what I remember your face and everything from that, because not even so much your performance or what techniques you did. I have no idea. Even after knowing these techniques, I don't remember that, because the thing that left me with the impression was that she really believes this, and it doesn't matter whether it's small or big or a taboo or a struggle. She's really doing what she, and that made me believe that. And
this is the best advice that you can give people.
Oh wow.
That's the
teacher just
best,
turned it around.
That's the best takeaway from this.
Yeah. And
if
then
you believe it, anybody will. If you believe it, anybody will.
Yeah, and I think it was more about just believing than even about belly dance. And then it was about belly dance, and then it was about Banjara and you, and that way. It was just belief.
Belief is a great place to start.
Yeah, that was most inspiring. That was the RAQS inspire for me then.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you for
You're
starting
welcome.
this off and being here, and for being on a Zoom call. And
For Zoom call, maybe the last. Woo!
Probably. Yeah, it was really interesting to see Ajay's picture and then you popping up. That was funny.
Space issues on my phone. Too much Aroha content.
Oh, yeah. ठीक है, we'll finish this off here and we'll leave you to your little loved one.
I wish you love and luck with all the other RAQS inspires.
Yay!
I hope they're going to be awesome. I know none of them are going to be as awesome as this, but they can try. And lots of love to Junkeri and to you and everything that you're doing. And I mean, abhi dance nahi kar sakte jada, but I hope that even through this, you're able to kind of like, spread joy and love and keep the spark and the importance of what we do alive, even in times like this.
Yeah. I know it's a very different kind of time. Nobody even has like a role model ki acha jab aise hota hai to aise karna chahiye. I don't even know when we had a quarantine as a human race collectively before. And I just think that, there's so much of being offered out there. People are already interacting again with their students and teachers. But what better time than now to just have people meet each other through conversations and create a space for questions and discussions that don't end up happening.
And for me also, there are like so many people who've written to me that they have dreamt of studying with me but never got the chance. And I was just thinking, like, a quarantine ke chakkar mein there are almost 400 mails. I mean, how many more? And there's still people writing, I missed the form. And I'm just like, how many people must be willing to do something but because of some XYZ reason couldn't?
Yeah.
And then look at technology. It's giving us that boost right now to probably carry things forward like this. And, maybe give access to more people.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a plus to everything, I mean, there are minuses also, but there is a plus to everything. And more than wasting time on the minuses, it's better to focus on the pluses. It's bringing people together. People are doing interviews, collaborations, talking, sharing their free classes, all kinds, spiritual talks, all kinds of things are happening.
Yeah, the world is really
human. This is the human spirit, This technology that we used to say, like, oh my God, always phone in your hand. Look at you today. This is the thing that's keeping you alive.
Yep.
That's keeping you together,
I just realized looking at myself that can you see what this is? I think I can stop the recording now because now I'm just talking to you. So maybe we'll just say a bye and then I'll show you the picture.
Aight. Bye-bye.